The distress call. The gentle vibration of the Pathfinder's engines resonated through the command deck as Captain Maya Reeves studied the peculiar signal pattern that had appeared on her monitor. For the last hour, the communications array had been detecting something faint and distorted, but undeniably artificial. "Can we clean it up any more, Sato?" Reeves asked, absently tucking a strand of her dark hair behind her ear. Lieutenant Hiroshi Sato, the communications specialist, worked his console with practiced precision. "Working on it, Captain. Based on the signal degradation, it's been traveling for nearly 2 weeks. Origin appears to be somewhere in the Cygnus sector." The bridge crew maintained a focused silence as Sato worked. The Pathfinder was a survey vessel with a crew of 23, designed for charting the expanding boundaries of human-explored space. Their mission parameters included scientific research and preliminary contact protocols, not rescue operations. "I've got it," Sato announced suddenly. It's a distress call, Captain." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike any the crew had encountered before. The alien had luminescent skin with a silvery sheen that seemed to pulse with bioelectric patterns. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, dominated a face that was both strikingly alien and somehow vulnerable. "This is Council Elder Talitha of the Ellerin Concord." The being spoke, its voice translated by the ship's computer into a melodic, almost musical English. "Our worlds are under assault by the Krellic Empire. We are scholars and artisans, not warriors. Our defenses cannot withstand their aggression much longer." The message continued, showing glimpses of beautiful cities constructed of what appeared to be living crystal and light, now burning under bombardment from sleek, predatory ships. Elder Talitha described the Ellerin people, a species dedicated to art, philosophy, and the peaceful exploration of knowledge, now facing extinction at the hands of conquerors they were ill-equipped to resist. "We send this plea to the stars, hoping someone will hear," Talitha concluded. "If there are others who cherish peace and stand against tyranny, we implore your aid. The Krelllics will not be satisfied with only our worlds." The message ended, leaving the bridge in contemplative silence. Captain Reeves leaned back in her chair, mind racing. Exploration command regulations were explicit. New species contact required extensive observation and approval from headquarters before any direct interaction. Interfering in an interspecies conflict was absolutely prohibited without explicit authorization from Earth Command. "How far are we from the signal's origin?" Reeves finally asked. "About 4 days at maximum sustainable thrust," replied Navigator Park. Sato cleared his throat. "Captain, protocol dictates we report this to command and await instructions. This is well beyond our mandate." Reeves nodded slowly. "I'm aware of protocol, Lieutenant." She studied the frozen image of Elder Talitha on the screen, noting the fear and desperation in those alien eyes. "Send the transmission to command, but also set course for the signal's origin," she ordered. "We can always turn around if directed." "Captain," Sato began. "These people are dying, Hiroshi," Reeves interrupted. "By the time command debates the proper response, it could be too late. We're not charging in weapons hot. We're going to assess the situation firsthand." As the Pathfinder's engines surged to full power and the ship altered course, Reeves wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. Humanity had only begun serious interstellar exploration in the last century. They were still newcomers to the galactic stage, still learning the complex tapestry of alien civilizations that populated this region of space. What Reeves couldn't know was that her decision would fundamentally alter the course of the conflict, and with it, humanity's place in the wider galaxy. The Ellerins had sent their desperate plea into the darkness hoping for salvation. Instead, they were about to encounter humans, a resilient species from a world that had tried to kill them daily throughout their evolution. The Deathworlders were coming to the battlefield. The Pathfinder dropped out of FTL with a momentary shudder. Through the main viewport, Captain Reeves and her crew beheld a system of 11 planets orbiting a bright yellow-white star. The fourth world, a gleaming blue-silver sphere against the blackness, showed unmistakable signs of advanced civilization, but also the scars of ongoing bombardment. Multiple debris fields in orbit, reported Science Officer Elena Cortez, her eyes fixed on her console. And there's active combat happening now in the southern hemisphere. Reeves straightened in her chair. Any indication they've detected us? Negative, Captain. We're still at the system's edge, running passive sensors only. Good. Maintain distance and continue scanning. I want to understand what we're facing before making ourselves known. For 3 hours, the crew of the Pathfinder observed and recorded. The attacking forces, presumably the Krelllics, deployed angular, almost crystalline ships that moved with mathematical precision. They targeted what appeared to be cultural centers and population hubs rather than military installations, a fact that hardened Reed's resolve. Captain, Cortez called suddenly. I'm detecting a small vessel approaching from the planet. It appears to be on an intercept course with us. Reeves frowned. So much for staying hidden. Defensive screens up, but weapons remain offline. Open a channel when they're in range. The approaching ship was unlike the aggressive Krellic vessels. It glowed with a soft, pulsing light and moved with fluid grace despite obvious damage to its hull. As it came within communication range, the view screen activated without prompting. Elder Talitha's face appeared, looking more haggard than in the recorded message. You came, the alien said simply, wonder evident in all 4 eyes. You actually came. Reeves stepped forward. I'm Captain Maya Reeves of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We received your distress call. Earth, Talitha repeated, as if tasting the word. We know nothing of your world or people, yet you've traveled far to answer strangers' plea. You honor us, Captain. We haven't committed to anything yet, Reeves replied cautiously. We came to understand your situation firsthand. Talitha's bioluminescent patterns flickered, perhaps their equivalent of the Psi. Of course. May we meet in person? Our ship can dock with yours, if permitted. Reeves hesitated only briefly. Granted. We'll prepare for your arrival in the Pathfinder's conference room. Captain Reeves studied the 3 Ellerin delegates with poorly concealed fascination. Up close, they were even more striking, tall and willowy, moving with a fluid grace that suggested an almost zero-gravity evolutionary path. Their skin pulsed with complex patterns of light that seemed to shift with their emotions. Elder Talitha was accompanied by 2 younger Ellerins who were introduced as scientists and historians. The Krellics attacked without warning 6 months ago, Talitha explained, projecting holographic images of the conflict. They demand our complete cultural assimilation into their empire. Those who resist are eliminated. What resources are they after? Asked Lieutenant Commander Jackson, the security chief. The Ellerins exchanged puzzled glances. You misunderstand, said one of the scientists, named Saren. The Krellics conquer because it is their nature. They believe their biological superiority gives them the right to rule. Our peaceful ways, our art and philosophy, they see these as weaknesses to be corrected or erased. Reeves frowned. And you have no defensive capabilities. Minor ones only, Talitha admitted. We never needed them before. As the meeting continued, Reeves noticed the Ellerins studying the humans with increasing intensity. Finally, Saren approached with a strange device. With permission, Captain, I would like to measure something. Reeves nodded, and Saren waved the device over her. Remarkable, the alien murmured. Your bone density, muscle mass, cardiovascular system, and you say Earth has higher gravity than galactic standard. About 35% higher than what most spacefaring species seem to consider normal, Reeves confirmed. Why? The 3 Ellerins looked at each other, with new hope lighting their bioluminescent patterns. Captain, Talitha said slowly, your species evolved on what we would classify as a Deathworld high gravity, extreme weather variations, dangerous predators, high ambient radiation. Such environments create extraordinarily resilient life forms. I suppose that's true, Reeves said cautiously. The Krelllics come from a world of perfect conditions, Saren added excitedly. Minimal gravity, controlled climate, no predators. They've never encountered a species like yours before. Reeves began to understand. You're saying humans might have physical advantages. More than you realize, Saren continued. Your endurance alone would seem supernatural to the Krelllics. They tire quickly and require frequent rest cycles. For the first time since arriving, Reeves felt a smile forming. She activated her communicator. Officer Cortez, send our full report to Earth Command. And add a personal note. I believe we found some new friends who could use our unique talents. The message from Earth Command arrived 16 hours after Reeves' report. The captain read it alone in her quarters, her face illuminated by the blue glow of her tablet. The response was exactly what she expected. Caution, concerns about intervention, requests for more information. But beneath the diplomatic language lay tacit approval to continue the mission. Maintain observation and limited contact, the message concluded. The diplomatic and defense assessment team is being assembled. The Pathfinder is authorized to provide humanitarian assistance only until their arrival. Under no circumstances engage Krellic forces directly. Reeves set down the tablet with a sigh. It was something, at least. Outside the viewport of her quarters, the silver-blue planet Ellerin rotated slowly. In the days since their arrival, the crew had learned much about their new allies. The Ellerin civilization was over 4,000 years old, peaceful and technologically sophisticated in areas like medicine, biotechnology, and environmental science. But their weapons were primitive and their tactical thinking almost non-existent. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Captain, came Cortez's voice through the intercom. The Krelllics have begun another orbital bombardment of the eastern continent. Elder Talitha is requesting to speak with you urgently. Reeves hurried to the bridge, where the main screen showed Talitha's face, the background filled with frantic activity. Captain Reeves, the Elder said without preamble. The Krellic Supreme Commander has requested parley. They've detected your vessel and demand to know your intentions in this conflict. Reeves felt a chill run down her spine. They want to talk to us directly. Yes, they've established a neutral meeting point on our orbital station. This is unusual. The Krellics rarely negotiate. They're curious about us, Reeves mused. This could buy time for your people and for Earth to send reinforcements. She straightened her uniform. Tell them I accept. The Deathworlders' response. The Ellerin orbital station was a marvel of crystalline architecture and bioengineering, graceful arches and living structures that somehow remained functional despite battle damage. Captain Reeves brought only 2 crew members with her, Lieutenant Commander Jackson and Dr. Nasser, the ship's medical officer. The Krellic delegation waited in a large chamber. Reeves' first impression was that they looked almost reptilian, but that wasn't quite right. Their bodies were covered in iridescent scales of emerald and gold, with elongated limbs and digitigrade legs. Their heads featured vertical pupils set in amber eyes, and their movements were precise, almost mechanical. I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Krellic Dominion, announced the largest of them. His voice translated through a device on his chest. It sounded harmonically complex, with multiple tones overlapping. You are not Ellerin. Identify yourselves. Reeves stepped forward. Captain Maya Reeves of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We are here at the invitation of the Ellerin people. Earth? Unknown world. Irrelevant world. Vex's pupils narrowed to slits. This conflict does not concern you. When one civilization attempts to eradicate another, it concerns all peaceful species, Reeves replied evenly. Vex studied Reeves intently. The Ellerins are weak. Weakness must be purged. This is the natural order. Dr. Nasser stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. May I ask what criteria you use to determine weakness? They create instead of conquer. They heal instead of fight. They negotiate instead of dominate, Vex replied. and their biology is inefficient, low muscle density, minimal endurance, poor adaptation capabilities. Reeves exchanged glances with her crew members. The Krelllics were judging strength purely on physical terms. And what of humanity? Reeves asked carefully. How do you measure us? Commander Vex approached Reeves, towering over her by nearly a foot. Your ship is small, your technology unremarkable. You come from an unknown system with no significant allies. The Krellic leaned closer. But there is something different about your physiology. Our scanners detect abnormalities. Reeves smiled thinly. Not abnormalities. Adaptations. Earth is not a gentle world, Commander. It matters not, Vex declared, stepping back. This meeting was to satisfy curiosity only. You have 7 planetary rotations to leave this system. After that, your vessel will be considered an enemy target. As the Krellic delegation departed, Jackson leaned toward Reeves. 7 days. That's barely enough time for Earth's response team to arrive. Exactly what they intend, Reeves said grimly. But they've made a critical error. What's that, Captain? Reeves watched the Krellics' retreating forms. They've underestimated us based on appearances, a mistake humans learned to stop making centuries ago. She tapped her communicator. Pathfinder, this is Reeves. Patch me through to Earth Command, Priority Alpha. Tell them we need more than diplomats. We need soldiers. The 6 days following the meeting with Commander Vex passed in a blur of activity. Reeves and her crew worked tirelessly alongside the Ellerins, evacuating civilians from vulnerable coastal cities and establishing secure communication networks. The Krellics maintained their orbital position, launching only sporadic attacks, as if they were merely passing the time until their ultimatum expired. On the morning of the 7th day, the Pathfinder sensors detected a ripple in space at the edge of the system. Captain to the bridge, called Officer Cortez over the intercom, excitement evident in her voice. Reeves arrived to find her crew gathered around the main viewport. In the distance, a swirling blue vortex had formed, an FTL entry point much larger than the one the Pathfinder had used to enter the system. Earth responded, Sato said, grinning. And they didn't send just diplomats. From the vortex emerged a vessel that dwarfed the Pathfinder. The UES Defender was a military cruiser, its dark hull bristling with defense systems and weapon emplacements. Behind it came 2 smaller but equally imposing escort ships. Incoming transmission from the Defender, Captain, reported Sato. The view screen activated to show a stern-faced woman with steel-gray hair and the insignia of an admiral on her uniform. Captain Reeves, she said briskly. Admiral Sophia Chen, Earth Defense Command. I see you found yourself in quite the situation. Reeves stood at attention. Yes, Admiral. Thank you for responding so quickly. Chen's expression remained serious, but her eyes held a glint of approval. Earth Command sees both humanitarian and strategic importance in this conflict. The Ellerins reached out for help, and humanity answers. She paused. I've read your reports on the Krellics. Time to see if they're as tough as they think they are. Admiral Chen wasted no time establishing a command center in the Ellerin capital. Reeves watched with admiration as she coordinated the unloading of equipment and personnel. The human contingent numbered only 300, but they moved with purpose and discipline that visibly impressed the Ellerin observers. Specialists, Chen explained to Reeves and Elder Talitha as they walked through the bustling operation. Veterans from Earth's harshest environments, desert warfare experts from the Sahara, Arctic combat specialists from Antarctica, jungle fighters from the Amazon. Each one has survived conditions that would kill most sentient species. Talitha's bioluminescent patterns flickered with concern. So few against the Krellics' thousands. Chen smiled grimly. Quality over quantity, Elder. Besides, we're not here to match them ship for ship or soldier for soldier. We're here to show them why picking fights with unknown species is a bad tactical decision. A sudden commotion drew their attention. A group of soldiers had set up a training area and were demonstrating hand-to-hand combat techniques to fascinated Ellerin observers. Two humans sparred with controlled intensity, their movements quick and powerful. "Your people seem to enjoy combat," Talitha observed, sounding troubled. "Not enjoy," Reeves corrected gently. "Respect. On Earth, fighting was sometimes necessary for survival." "The Krelllics are calling," interrupted a young lieutenant, approaching with a tablet. "They're demanding to speak with whoever's in charge of the new arrivals." Chen took the tablet. "Perfect timing. Put them through." Commander Vex's reptilian face appeared on screen, his pupils constricted to thin lines in what Reeves now recognized as agitation. "You violate our ultimatum," Vex hissed. "These reinforcements change nothing." Chen stepped forward. "Admiral Sophia Chen of Earth Defense Command. We're not reinforcements, Commander. We're the response to your threat against a peaceful species. Your primitive weapons can it." "Let's test that theory." Chen cut him off. "I propose a single engagement. One of your squads against one of mine. Neutral ground. No ships, no heavy weapons, just soldiers." Her smile was predatory. "Unless you're afraid to face Deathworlders directly." "Deathworlders?" Vex's head tilted slightly. "That's what you call us, isn't it? The species from a planet that should have killed us, but made us stronger instead." The Krellic commander was silent for several seconds. Finally, he spoke. "Tomorrow, the Northern Plateau. 10 warriors each." The transmission ended abruptly. "Admiral," Reeves said carefully, "are you sure about this?" Chen's expression was confident. "Captain, the Krellics need to learn what humans are capable of. Tomorrow will be their first lesson. And if they don't like what they learn," asked Talitha anxiously, "then they'll receive a much harsher education." Chen replied, watching her soldiers continue their drills with cold determination. Dawn broke over the northern plateau in a wash of silver and gold. The flat, rocky terrain stretched for miles, dotted with crystal formations and low vegetation, perfect for the demonstration Admiral Chen had planned. A small group of Ellerin observers huddled nervously behind a security perimeter, their tall forms shifting anxiously as they watched the humans prepare. Captain Reeves stood with Elder Talitha, explaining what was about to happen. "This isn't about killing," she said softly. "It's about sending a message." The human squad consisted of 10 soldiers, each from a different specialized unit. They wore light combat armor and carried only basic weapons: combat knives, short batons, and lightweight shields. They stretched and performed breathing exercises, seemingly unconcerned about the approaching confrontation. A low hum announced the arrival of the Krellic transport. It descended with mechanical precision, landing 100 meters away. 10 Krellic warriors emerged, each at least 7 feet tall, their scales gleaming in the morning light. They carried energy weapons and what appeared to be ceremonial blades. Admiral Chen stepped forward to meet Commander Vex in the middle of the field. "The terms," Chen stated. "First squad to surrender or become combat ineffective loses. No lethal force." Vex's vertical pupils dilated slightly. "Agreed. Though I fail to see how this demonstration benefits you. Our warriors are superior in every way." Chen smiled. "We'll see." The two commanders returned to their respective sides. Chen nodded to her squad leader, a weathered woman with scars across her face. "Sergeant Rivera, show them what humans can do." Rivera nodded once and signaled her team to spread out in a loose formation. The Krellics took positions opposite them, moving with precise, almost mechanical coordination. For a moment, both sides stood perfectly still. Then, at some unseen signal, the Krellics charged. What followed stunned the Ellerin observers. The Krellics were fast, blindingly so, their first rush covering ground with incredible speed. But the humans didn't retreat. They adjusted their stance and braced for impact. The first Krellic reached Rivera and swung a powerful blow that should have ended the fight immediately. Instead, the sergeant absorbed the hit on her shield, pivoted, and used the Krellic's momentum to throw him to the ground. All along the line, Humans were employing similar tactics, using the Krellix speed and strength against them. 10 minutes into the fight, the pattern became clear. The Krellix were faster and stronger in short bursts, but they tired quickly. The humans, meanwhile, showed no signs of fatigue. They breathed steadily, conserved movement, and waited for openings. "What's happening?" Talitha asked, her bioluminescence flashing with excitement. "Endurance," Reeves explained. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We can't outrun a cheetah, but we can outlast it. The Krellix are sprinters. We're marathoners." By the 20-minute mark, the tide had turned completely. The Krellix were visibly slowing, their movements becoming less precise. The humans pressed their advantage methodically, working in coordinated pairs to isolate and neutralize individual opponents. 30 minutes in, the last Krellic warrior fell. Not a single human had been eliminated. Commander Vex stood rigid, his vertical pupils contracted to nearly invisible lines. Admiral Chen approached him calmly. "This was just one demonstration, Commander. A single aspect of human capability. Would you like to see what else Deathworlders can do?" Vex was silent for a long moment. "You are not what we expected. That's the problem with conquest, Commander. Eventually, you meet someone who evolved under harsher conditions than you did." The Krellic commander looked out over his defeated warriors, then back to Chen. The Dominion would reconsider its position regarding the Ellerin system. Perhaps negotiation has merits we had not previously considered. Chen's expression remained neutral. "I'm glad to hear it. Earth is prepared to act as a mediator between your peoples, to find a solution that doesn't involve extinction. And if we decline this offer," Vex asked quietly, "then more ships like the Defender will arrive," Chen replied. "And next time, we won't limit ourselves to non-lethal demonstrations." 3 weeks later, Captain Reeves stood on the observation deck of the Pathfinder, watching as the newly established Earth Embassy took shape on Ellerin's surface. Beside her, Elder Talitha's bioluminescence pulsed with patterns of gratitude and hope. "The Krellic delegation has agreed to all major terms," Talitha said. "They will withdraw from our system entirely and establish a demilitarized zone along our borders. In exchange, we will share our biotechnology advances. And Earth gets observer status in both your civilizations," Reeves added, "plus the right to establish this embassy and a small defense outpost." "A small price for salvation," Talitha replied. "You know, in all our history, we never imagined that our saviors would come from a world so harsh it would kill us within days." Reeves smiled. "That's the irony of evolution, Elder. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from surviving the greatest challenges." On the planet below, Admiral Chen was meeting with representatives from a dozen other species who had arrived once news of the Krellic retreat spread across the sector. All were curious about these newcomers, these Deathworlders who had accomplished with 300 what armies could not. "What will your people do now?" Talitha asked. "Explore, learn, make friends where we can," Reeves replied. "Earth has much to offer the galaxy, and much to learn in return. And if you make enemies," Reeves' expression turned serious, "then they'll learn the same lesson as the Krellics. Humans don't start fights, but we're very, very good at finishing them." As the sun set over Ellerin, casting the crystalline cities in golden light, a new chapter in galactic history was beginning. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the stars would never be the same.